All right, scale of the day. We've got our ES335 today. Really nice guitar, Gibson ES335. Beauty. This one has a nice flame top to it, although I don't know if it's going to catch it without grabbing all the reflections and everything. If you can really see that flame in the wood finish, but it's real pretty. Anyway, it's one of my old favorites, and oh, I did a couple upgrades on it, but it's mostly stock. I added strap locks on the back that let you. So for the beginners who don't know, a strap lock is a little device that lets you clip your strap in, and it stays secure. So there's a little pin you pull on this kind. This is called a Schaller strap lock, Fender Schaller. You pull the pin back, it releases it. You let go of the pin, it clips it in, and now it's locked in. So if you're jumping around on stage, your guitar doesn't come off the strap and go smashing into a Hendrix-like pile of kindling ready for your lighter fluid. All right. The other thing is I put locking tuners on, which you can see. These are Grover locking tuners, which means they have a little knob on the back, although some locking tuners don't. They have a couple different kinds of mechanisms, but these are Grover locking tuners, which are probably my favorite tuners, although I really like. Sorry, I just wanted to do that. I really like Planet Waves Diodario locking tuners that are self-trimming, but they aren't a drop-in replacement on most guitars. I have one guitar I put them on that they were just perfect for, to drop in, clean, and cover the screw holes from the original tuners. But I think it did require a little drilling of the headstock, but they were otherwise, but only for the orienting screw. Anyway, I'm digressing. I put locking tuners on this. I want to digress on a different point. Locking tuners. The purpose of locking tuners is rapid string changes. Don't ever let anybody tell you different. They're full of baloney if they think it's tuning stability. It's not. If they say, well, I put locking tuners on my guitar and I got better tuning stability, one of two things happened. Either they didn't know how to string their original tuners, traditional tuners, correctly, and so they're having tuning issues because they had too many wraps around the post, they didn't wrap them properly, they have them overlapping or doing weird things, or somebody told them they could lock the string in if they tied it a certain way. If you don't do it right, when you turn that post and that string, those strings start slipping, you'll get tuning issues. So if you have traditional tuners, learn how to string them properly. It'll save you a lot of hassles with trying to stay in tune. The other scenario where people can get better tuning stability from a locking tuner is if the locking tuner that they upgraded to is just a much higher quality tuner than the one that was originally on the guitar. Now that might give you an improvement in tuning stability because you had really crappy tuners on there to start. So, but it's not the locking mechanism. I think this confusion stems from the era where there was something called a locking nut, and it went with a Floyd Rose tremolo that locked down here, and it locked that string on both ends, and that was a tuning stability thing. It allowed you to use a tremolo bar and really dive bomb big bends and everything and stay right in tune. Okay, so they heard locking nut or locking tremolo. Now they're hearing locking tuner and they think it has something to do with tuning stability. It doesn't. It's about fast string changes. Fast, easy string changes. This is my rant du jour on guitar topics that the masses get wrong. Okay? There's a little tidbit of knowledge for you. But I do love locking tuners personally. And, you get the crusty old pros who, not old pros, just crusty and old players who are super traditionalists that think if anything has ever changed, it can't be good. Yeah, they're wrong. Locking tuners are great. Grover lockers are fantastic. Fender lockers are good too. The Schaller lockers that you put on Fender Strats. I think I played my Horton Heat that had Spertzel lockers on there. Those are great. I've got a Telecaster. I put those Planet Waves Diodario self-trimming lockers where not only do you just shove the string through and tighten the thing down and then turn the thing and you're done. On these, you do have to clip the string yourself. On those self-trimming ones, it actually cuts the string off for you too. Can't get faster and easier than that, and they're great tuners. But anyway, enough. I'm 5 minutes in. Enough on the guitar. We should start calling this the guitar of the day instead of the scale of the day. But here we go. Scale of the day is the C major scale. It's pattern 4 of 5 that we're going to look at today. That is the A chord pattern, and it has roots on the 5th and 3rd strings, 2 frets apart. Okay? And it happens to be 5th fret, 5th string, 3rd fret, and 3rd string, 5th fret. All right? Just to confuse you. It's an A chord form because if you took a open A chord that you all are familiar with and you slid it up until you had a C over that C root, there's your C triad. Or you play it as a bar chord, you can do it like that. I play it like that with 2 fingers. Okay, that's an A bar chord. And if your ring finger actually can bend the joint back, which mine just can't do, mine's perfectly straight and just won't bend back at all, but most people, they can get a little bend back on that joint with practice. Then you can arch that finger and bend it, and you can actually get that top note too of that bar chord, but I can't. My fingers just don't bend that way. So anyway, that's why it's an A form. So let's look at this now. You're in 2nd position. Okay, that means your index finger is behind, not in front of, the 2nd fret. Okay, that's the position we're in. And then so I'm 2, 3, 4, and 5 frets with those 4 fingers. And we're going to stay there until we get up on the B string where you see the D on this chart. And then we're going to shift up 1 fret so that we can go from 3, 4, 5, 6 up to this F. When we come down off of this, we're going to grab that C with our pinky. Okay, so let's look at this from the C down. So go C, B with your index, A with your pinky, G with your middle finger on the low C. I mean on the low E string. All right, so G, A, B, C. Pretty easy. C, D with your pinky, E with your index, F with your middle finger. That sounds dirty. F with your middle finger. G with your pinky, A with your index, there it is, B with your ring finger, C with your pinky. Now this is where the shift occurs. Now it's not so much a shift as a movement of your wrist and as you're playing it, you don't sort of go, ugh. It's more of a moving your finger, your index finger from 2nd position to 3rd. So D, E, F is at 3, 5, 6 with your 1st, 3rd, and 4th fingers. Okay, so that's the pattern, okay? Now let's stop and look at this pattern and kind of absorb it mentally for a second and look for symmetries or things that we can mentally grasp to kind of remember it. Well, the first thing that stands out is that on the 5th and 4th string, that looks symmetrical where it goes, right? And then the next string looks different. Because it's a 1, 3, 4 instead of a 1, 2, 4 fingering. Now, when you get to the 5th string, you're going to do that shift, right? But it is still a 1, 3, 4 kind of fingering. Okay, so just take note of that for a second. Now notice that the high E string has 2 notes and the low E string has the same 2 notes, okay? So those are symmetrical with each other. The 5th and 4th strings are symmetrical with each other. And the 3rd and 2nd strings would be symmetrical if not for that shift that occurs, right? but they both have the 1, 3, 4 fingering, okay? So you can kind of get your head around that to try to visualize it. It's kind of a lot. This pattern doesn't just inherently pop into your brain and go, oh yeah, I got it. You kind of have to play it, and you kind of have to, over time, get this relationship between the third and second string that results in that shift. Okay, the tuning in standard tuning on your guitar tunes all these strings to an interval of a fourth, except it doesn't here. It tunes those to an interval of a fifth, and that allows the chords to lay out in a comfortable way and the scales to lay out in a comfortable way on the neck to play the kind of things that we play in Western music. So that's kind of the reason for the tuning, but it does result in that little shift in the scale pattern, right? Where you're going A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, G, A. So that just is what it is. But get the hang of this. You'll get it as you kind of practice this pattern and get it under your finger. So let's do some of that. We're going to set this. Actually, we're going to set this really nice and slow at 60 for a minute. And we're going to say the note names, and we're going to play this from the root down and back up to the root, from the root up, back down to the root, root to root, root down and back up, okay? Like we've been doing. 1, 2, quarter notes, go. C, say the B, E, G, A, B, C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, D, E, F, G, A, G, F, E, D, C, E, A, G, F, E, D, C, C, E, A, G, A, B, C. Okay, so sometimes I say them and sometimes I sing them. Probably better to sing them. I find I don't have a great vocal range. I'm a bass. All of these notes are too high for me, almost. So I end up jumping back and forth between the octaves to sing these notes in the octaves that I can sing them. So it's a little weird, but so sometimes I just say them, especially if if you're trying to really learn these notes on your fretboard. It helps to do that and actually look at them and go C, B, A, G, A, B, C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Here's our shift. C, D, E, F, G, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Okay, it's not too slow to go. You might even have to go slower. You might have to go half that speed if you're a beginner. If you're an outright beginner and you're really just starting to be able to move your fingers and stuff, you may have to go really painfully slow to get this, but it will come in time with some practice. All right, so we're going to do some of that practice here with the metronome. And now we're not going to say the names. We're just going to play the notes, okay? And then we're going to start subdividing beats. So let's go do this with quarter notes. We start going down, right? 1, 2, ready, go. Good. All right, now let's do eighth notes. So now it's 2 notes per click. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And Now, let's play triplets. 3 notes per click. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, go triplet. How'd you do? Did you get it? It's a little trickier, isn't it, when you're not used to playing those or counting it that way or feeling it in rounds of 3, and you're used to sort of feeling that 8-note octave of notes in a 2/4 or 4/4 kind of a time. The triplets throw you off a little bit, but it's really good to learn to subdivide the beats like this, and it's really, really useful in your soloing in the future, because there's a lot of times in guitar soloing that you'll go from a 3/4 to a 4/4 time and back in the middle of a solo to give a different feel. Okay, it happens all the time. So get the hang of subdividing the beats like this. It'll help you later, okay? Let's do the triplets one more time. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, ready triplet, go triplet. Okay, good job. Now, what's coming next? You know, 16th notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a ready and a go E and a. Did you get it? Probably not the first time you tried, right? It's okay to back this up and try again, but I'm going to play it again for you anyway here. Let's do these one more time as 16th notes. So 1 E and a 2 E and a ready and a go E and a. Or technically. All right, so that was really good. We covered a lot there. I want to do one more thing here. I want to speed this up a little. Let's go to, let's say, 88 beats a minute. Whatever, that feels like a nice pace. I just want to play up and down the pattern now. Now, it's not going to sound like a C major pattern because you're starting on the G. Okay, I want you to recognize this isn't going to sound quite right. It's not going to sound like a major scale because we're starting on the G. Alright, so it's not going to sound like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do as you go up through this. But we're just going to play 1 note per click and play up and down this pattern, trying to get that shift working. Okay, so in 8th notes, 1 and 2 and ready, go and. That was really sloppy on my part. Okay, so we're done in 20 minutes of time here with quite a bit of stuff really that we covered there. Some ancillary knowledge on locking tuners and on various little upgrades for your guitar, and then subdividing the beats, learning the scale pattern, and even I think did we talk about the Segovian scales? In case we didn't let me do that, I guess we won't be done in 20 minutes. Get this pattern under your fingers. Make sure you do. And the reason is, when we get to Segovian scales, Andres Segovia's famous scale patterns, they span 2 octaves to 3 octaves per pattern. And what they're really kind of doing is stringing together pieces of these same 5 patterns we're looking at. And using the octaves in those to string together 2 octaves or 3 octaves. So this particular pattern gets used in his, so that's in C. His C major Segovian scale of 2 octaves goes like this. Okay, the bottom half of it is the octave that's in this. And then when he gets to the 7th scale degree, he jumps up to catch the next C and plays an octave above that, okay? Now, it's not only, the thing about this pattern is once you get that feel under your fingertips, you can move it around. So, and with the Segovian scales, he uses that form to start the C form. He uses it for the D flat form, half a fret, and 1 fret higher. He uses it for D. He uses it for E flat. I wasn't too smooth on that, but D flat. When he gets to E, it's also in his E pattern, except that he also extends this downward all the way down to this low E, all the way back up to here, and then so he gets 3 octaves on the E scale. When he goes to F, he also extends it all the way down to the low F, so he's getting 3 octaves on the F going. Whoops, that was E. There's F. So 6 major scales in the Segovian scales, which we will cover as well. Use that pattern. So get this under your fingertips. It's going to be really helpful. And then, also very similar to that when he does his G scale is he gets 3 octaves on these. There it is. Then he descends on those in a different form, so this becomes more interesting. So he goes up through this pattern and up, and he comes down through this pattern and down, okay? And that's on the G. That first part of that is the same as this fingering, and then it shifts but this fingering is just important to get a feel for. So really practice this one a good bit for several days, and make sure you really have this under your fingers. That's a C major scale, pattern 4 of 5. The A pattern for those roots. We call it an A chord pattern or an A root pattern. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. Scale of the day.